Hey there, everyone. Nick Dettmann here for another edition of the Dettmann Media Podcast, where we go over social media tips, trends, analysis, and digital marketing as well as SEO, website management, website design, and things of that nature, all in hopes to try and help you improve your social media and digital media marketing strategy. Glad you could join me here today. If you don't already, hopefully you subscribe to the blog on there, and you can get regular updates emailed right to your inbox. And that's nicholasdettmann.blogspot.com. Again, nicholasdettmann.blogspot.com. You get my blog, and you'll get, like I said, things, social media stories of tips, trends, analysis, insights, all delivered right to your email inbox. So thanks again for joining me here on the Dettmann Media Podcast. Got a lot of really good stuff here to talk about today, so let's go right on into it. So the first topic we're going to talk about is trust in the social media universe. Many social media platforms have been under really a lot of pressure of late, especially over the last 6 months, a year, or even kind of going a little further than that. To be more transparent with its privacy rules and regulations, as well as being transparent in informing people what information they collect. Apple has just released a system update about this, and we will talk about that later on here in this podcast. But recently I came across a study done by Business Insider Intelligence called the 2020 Digital Trust Report. And according to the report's introduction, the 2020 Digital Trust Report analyzed how U.S. social users perceive social platforms on measures of trust and ad engagement, with an eye toward helping advertisers make better decisions about how they invest in ad dollars. So to conduct the study, the report said the Digital Trust ranking featured in the report is based on an online survey of more than 1,860 U.S. Social media users fielded from May 28th, 2020 to June 3rd, 2020, so about a week to get those respondents. And the respondents had used at least one of the social media platforms in the study in the last 12 months. And the study defined confidence in social media and on the internet as a whole as the confidence people have that a platform will protect their information and provide a safe environment for them to create and engage with content. And the report highlighted 5 pillars as its base for understanding the people's trust on the web. And those 5 pillars were security, legitimacy, community, ad experience, and ad relevance. The report and its results showed that the number one social media platform as far as trust with social media users is LinkedIn, followed by Pinterest and Reddit. Those were the top 3 most trusted social media platforms by users. Those were followed by Instagram and Snapchat to round up the top 5. And spots 6 through 9 was TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and all the way down is Facebook. It's been well documented and publicized where people stand on Facebook and its ability, or in a lot of cases in consumers' minds, inability to maintain a user's privacy, specifically when it comes to their personal information. In addition, it was reported the top reason a user would have trust with a social media platform is, just like I said, is the platform's ability to protect a person's privacy and data. And that was at 88%. Twitter has definitely made, Facebook has made a lot of strides to try and bolster that trust, or regain that trust, I should say. But still, it's got a lot of work to do for a lot of reasons. And as I mentioned, Apple has come out with a new system upgrade that has to do with privacy information and tracking, and we'll get to that here in a few moments. But to read the full report that was done here by the Business Insider Intelligence about trust in social media, I have that report that you can download right on my blog at nicholasdettmann.blogspot.com. So moving on to the next topic, like I mentioned a couple times already, talking about Apple and its latest systems update. And there are a couple of changes with the latest system change for Apple and iPhone iOS users. Apple iOS 14.5 is the technical name. And among the new changes or updates to it includes new phone unlocking options for people wearing face masks and a range of updated voice options for Siri. But the biggest change with this update is going to have a significant impact to marketers. At least that's the way it looks on the surface. The problem is we don't really know how significant. In an article by socialmediatoday.com, they quoted Apple as saying, the app tracking transparency is what it's going to be called, requires apps to get the user's permission before tracking their data across apps or websites owned by other companies for advertising or sharing their data with data brokers. Apps can prompt users for permission, and in settings, users will also be able to see which apps have requested permission to track so they can make changes to their choice at any time. Now, we've known kind of about this for several weeks, even months, for that matter. But according to that same article by socialmediatoday.com, the change has had companies voice their opposition to this approach, highlighting the impact it could have on digital marketing. And one reason they point to that is also that people might even get more frustrated with social media and digital advertising, with the risk of people not permitting their data to be shared, that they will see more irrelevant ads rather than ads that are more pertinent to what their likes, interests, hobbies, and so forth are. So it's an interesting battle going back and forth between marketers, Apple and / social media, to where people are trying to understand how extensive the transparency and the tracking is going to be, and how much are people, marketers specifically, going to be able to track and understand in order to make key advertising decisions. And Apple said its stance is that this change puts more control into the hands of individuals, and with the broader shift toward providing more transparency and control over user data. So I do have the full article for that story that is on my blog. So looking at this, it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to play out. I mean, how many people are going to take advantage of this? Does it really matter to people? And if for those that do take advantage of it, how much information is still going to be available for marketing standpoints? Because you're going to have companies now that are going to be trying to invest a lot of money in advertising, but they don't know if they're going to get positive or at least somewhat positive return on investments. So this could be. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I can totally understand why, from a user standpoint, and from Apple specifically as well, why you would do this, because you want to, and we just kind of talked about it, just establishing trust in how people have their information out there in the World Wide Web and in the digital world as a whole. So you can totally understand. And I understand it, but also with me being also a digital and social media marketer, this can be a little troublesome when we're trying to put together advertising budgets, and this is the art understanding who our audience is. And we may see a difficult transition to understand what our audience is, in trying to make the right investments in terms of advertising, therefore maximizing our ROI, or return on investment. So this is going to be an interesting case to follow, just to kind of see how it progresses and what we're going to eventually know sometime down the road. Moving on to here, the last topic. So we're going to go over email marketing. I've gone over email marketing a couple times here during this podcast. And as I've mentioned before, email is still a powerful, useful, and needed tool in a digital marketing strategy. According to optinmonster.com, a survey they did showed 58% of people check their email as their first task of a day, followed by social media at 14%. In addition, checking email is also a complementary activity in many cases. People will do it while watching TV. 69% of those polled in this survey admitted to that. In bed and even on vacation at a whopping 79%. Going back to the in bed part, that was 57%. People can do this because of how many people have smartphones, which is 3.6 billion worldwide, according to Statista.com. That is how many people own a smartphone. Just 4 years ago, in 2017, that was 2.7 billion. So almost a billion people have purchased and now own smartphones in less than 5 years. So just to give you understanding how much the digital shift has been and what people have and what they use for their digital communication. So what email does is give you the direct communication to your followers, customers, or potential customers. So despite the shift toward digital in this era of social distancing, there is still value to interpersonal communication in some form, and it's wanted. So here are some things that can help you in your email marketing. Personalization, like I said before, you want to personalize your communication. I think what you kind of see with social media is it's more of a generic, widespread message. It's not like you're directly communicating. Yes, it's through a computer and so forth, but when you have personalization, a lot of email marketing software programs like MailChimp, for example, allows you to put the person's name in a subject line or the body of the email itself to try and just give it a little bit of a personal touch to it, and that can mean something to somebody because it actually still kind of feels like you're talking to another individual or another individual is talking to you. Another point is to celebrate your customers, and you do that by showing appreciation for their business and salute their loyalty to your business. Offering exclusive offers through email is one way to show you're appreciative of their business, but you also want to keep them engaged. It's kind of a way to not make them not forget about you. And then just kind of make them feel welcome. Who doesn't like the idea of feeling valued by somebody? The mobile experience is the next point. And when putting together your emails to customers, make sure the emails are mobile friendly. Again, remember, more than 3.6 billion people around the world have a smartphone. And HubSpot.com research indicated mobile opens account for about 46% of all email opens. 35% of business professionals check email on a mobile device, and then 73% of millennials, those are people about 35 and younger, prefer communications from businesses to come via email. So three very key stats when considering email and how they're doing it through mobile. Just making sure you've got your email platform, whichever you is mobile compatible. And this is something I routinely talk about. It's creating a positive overall experience. A well-designed email is also important. And what I mean by well-designed, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be loaded with graphics or video or anything like that. Sometimes the simpler it is, the better it is, or in other words, less is more. This is really especially useful when considering mobile, because the size of smartphones or tablets, they all vary in a lot of ways. So what may look good on maybe an iPhone may not look as good on another type of technology. So you have to keep that in mind. So users can't see everything on a screen at the time as you do on a desktop. That's something else to keep in mind too. Desktops obviously tend to be larger in size, so therefore you can see more on the screen, and more likely it's less scrolling that you have to do with a desktop. But when you're looking at smartphone technology, you want to keep in mind that you don't want people to scroll, because that will then frustrate people, and then you've got a negative experience and likely a future open, lost, or maybe an unsubscribe down the road. So just those are some things to kind of keep in mind when designing emails for your company. So with that, I think that about covers the topics I wanted to discuss today. So really appreciate you listening to the podcast here. Hopefully you do find some value here in what you're getting from the podcast, and would love to hear from you and give some feedback from you about what you like so far. If there are questions or topics you would like me to discuss, certainly feel free to communicate with me via Twitter, which is Nick_Dettmann, DETTMANN, or reach out on my blog, which has contact information there, which again, nicholasdettmann.blogspot.com. So until next time, thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. And until next time, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and we will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.